Be a bright spot. You never know when a smile, compliment, or kind word can change a person's day.
Good afternoon and welcome to Bright Spot, a virtual discussion bringing you a dose of inspiration while normalizing conversations about mental health and substance use disorders. This show is presented by CNS Healthcare. My name is Kara Johnson, Marketing and Outreach Manager, your guest host in today for Nancy Gandolo. We want you to know your mental health matters and it's okay to not be okay. Today's guest is Brian Dilworth, Executive Director of Kevin Song, who will be talking to us about suicide prevention in our community. Brian, please tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, hi, Karen. Thanks for having me on today. I appreciate not just this opportunity, but everything that CNS Healthcare does. And you're a wonderful partner of ours, and thank you. So Kevin Song, as you mentioned, focuses on suicide prevention and survivor recovery. They were established, and we were established now in 2013. And Gail and John Urso are our co-founders. And sadly, they lost their son, Kevin. He was 41 years old about 9 years ago. And when they were going through this, they recognized the need, for outreach and for recovery. And even looking back at the history of their son and what he was struggling with depression and mental health issues, the need for there to be a more transparent way of finding resources to help. And they made it their mission to, at least in our corner of the world, the 7 counties throughout Southeast Michigan initially, to make a difference. And they've done that in a number of different ways, through a conference and through survivor support groups and workshops and opportunities like that. But I think more than that, what they've done in collection with all of our partners is created what you just said. It's okay not to be okay. And I think that's the biggest stigma right now that we work with our organization is taking away the stigma of suicide and being okay to talk about it and mental health as well. So we're proud to do what we do and to have partners like CNS Healthcare. So I think we're on the right track.
Thanks for everything that you and Kevin Song are doing, Brian. We know working with you that it really does make a difference, and ending that stigma, as you said, is so important for everyone in the community. Could you tell us a little bit, how long have you been with Kevin Song, and why were you interested in joining and getting into this field of suicide prevention?
Sure, just a couple months ago. So I'm still learning to say us and we instead of them. But I've been a consultant, had my own consulting firm for a plethora of nonprofits over the last 20 years, mostly faith-based, hospitals, high schools, colleges, churches. And that required a lot of travel. And as I was, moving forward with my life, I've been looking for the last year or two for an individual opportunity for leadership that would bring me home, but that also allowed me to approach something personal in my life that I was ready to go forward with. And 35 years ago or so, I lost a brother to suicide. And I don't think I could do this work that I'm doing now, 30 years ago. I don't think I was positioned or ready as part of my own recovery. But now I am. But even every day I learn more. I recover personally as a survivor. But I think I'm positioned when I listen to people and I attend conferences and I give insights to our board of directors that I'm speaking from experience, but also smart enough to know what I don't know, which I'm learning every day is so much. So proud to be where I am, but I also have a lot to learn in this area and am so impressed and in awe of the people who have dedicated their whole lives to working with people with mental health challenges, as well as supporters and anyone who is dealing with suicide. My wife and I joke about the 6 degrees of separation, or the Kevin Bacon game. It's more like 1 degree with suicide. If you talk with people, it's too commonplace. And I know when Gail and John set this up, they wanted a world without suicide as their goal. So that's where we're headed.
We appreciate you sharing your personal connection as well, Brian. I think many clinicians that work in this field, and also just as you said, most people are one step, if not directly impacted by suicide. And we know it is kind of a medical crisis that's in our country now, and we do need to be able to talk about it as we would cancer or car crashes, and invent something like the seatbelt that can keep people safe if we all put our heads together and think about what we can do. So you said Kevin Song has been around since 2013, relatively new, but I know there's been a huge impact already from the organization. Can you tell us a little bit about the impacts of your work?
It comes from different areas. Certainly the impact of the conference is first and foremost what the public sees about who we are on a more national basis. We assemble speakers from all over the country that talk on different elements of suicide, whether it be recovery, mental health treatment, different paths to recovery and treatment of individuals who are seeking help. And that is unbelievable to me, because I hadn't realized the scope initially over what we put into the conference and the time and the effort that we put into identifying speakers and the different breakout sessions and the workshops. So I'm looking forward to attending my first one as much as a participant rather than as an executive director. But it goes beyond that. Our impact with our survivor support groups that are now just hopefully soon, with COVID, we did a lot of them virtually. We want to get back to handling them in person around the different 7-county area, and hopefully expanding later to cover the whole state. Sitting in on those and listening to the stories and the heartbreak, but also the success. We've had successes with people who had considered suicide, but took a different route after finding people to speak with. And so it's not always a sad story. There is hope. And that's exciting for me, because I want to wake up every day and know that there's opportunity for healing. There's opportunities for support and kindness that we can share with each other that makes a difference. And I find that in the people that we interact with and the different elements that we provide.
And thank you so much for sharing that hope with us. I can see it in the way when you talk about Kevin Song and the work you're doing, just the light that comes into your eyes. It's great to see. If you're just joining us, this is Bright Spot, your community connection to wellness, presented by CNS Healthcare. We are speaking with Brian Dilworth, the Executive Director of Kevin Song, about suicide prevention efforts in the community. Brian, you touched on this a little bit, but can you give us a little more detail about what Kevin Song does to support survivors of suicide?
Again, twofold, but I think the direct one-on-one impact is in our survivor support groups, and we entertain those right now virtually. We'll look to expand those. We're in real life sessions around the state, but they're moderated by trained counselors, and it gives the opportunity for individuals with any background in dealing with suicide to come together and to share their stories and to listen and to interact and provide a partnership of hope and care, of a way to survive, a way to recover, a way to respond. And I wish something had been around like this 35 years ago for me, but more importantly for my parents. As much as I think the stigma of suicide still exists, 35 years ago it was unbelievably different, and far more so from a stigma point of view. And you have to remember, 50 years ago, cancer was a stigma. And now we treat it aggressively in fundraising and research and discussions. We got to get suicide to that point where we're teaching it as not a bad word, but as an opportunity for exchanges that can lead to a difference.
If some of our audience members are survivors of suicide, how would they get in touch with Kevin Song and start participating?
Great question, and thank you. kevinsong.org is our website address, and all of the resources that we provide are on our site. We have opportunities there to check in for the survivor support groups. There's also a number of different resources, be it articles on recovery or suicide treatment or different technologies that are out there for people to work with. Links to the 988 number now, which is a hotline for people to call for support, book reviews, film reviews, speakers that we feel you should check into to see what they're talking about. We're a hub of information and opportunities for people to come to our site. And I can guarantee you that if there's an element of suicide, recovery, or a path to research on how to handle it that's on your mind, there's an answer on our website or a link to get there. And we're proud of that, but we're constantly reviewing and trying to improve the site and improve the services we provide.
Thank you for bringing attention to the 988 number as well, Brian. It's exciting that in Michigan, that was just launched about a month ago, a little more than a month ago now. But it's just like 911 is your resource for most emergencies now. 988 is out there, easy to remember, short. So if anyone in the community needs help, needs resources, just isn't sure where to turn, that's there. So appreciate you sharing that with our audience members. Are there any other upcoming events that are open to the community that you'd like to highlight?
Well, we have two. We have our annual fundraiser, which is called Starry Starry Night. It's September 22nd, which I know is just around the corner, but we still have tickets available. It's a dinner auction with both live and silent items for you to bid on. We host that at the Detroit Yacht Club, I think I mentioned, and it is, from all accounts, again, new, this will be my first, but an absolute celebration of all things that we've accomplished as an organization, plan to accomplish with our partners, but also a very poignant opportunity for sharing of stories again. And we have to remember those that we're there for. And it's okay to celebrate the life after the fact and to remember that there's a path to recovery and a path to hope for people who might be considering it, that we hope, certainly wish we could do everything we can to prevent that. But Starry Starry Night's a great opportunity. And then our conference, which is in January from 26th to the 28th at the Inn at St. John's in Plymouth. If you again go to our website, kevinsong.org, there's a link there to more information about the Starry Starry Night as well as the conference. I urge you, no matter what role you play in watching Bright Spot today with this conversation, whether or not you're just an individual who's curious about opportunities that are out there for handling suicide, prevention of suicide, etc., or an educator or a counselor or any line of work whatsoever, join our conference, attend. There's a number of amazing workshops and speakers. If you give me the opportunity, I'll give you a little bit of a look into who we have coming this year. Thomas Joyner, who is world renowned on his speaking on suicide, is going to be our keynote for the conference. We also have Ellen Kahn from the Human Rights Campaign, who is going to be speaking at our school summit, which is focused toward our educators. And we have a student panel coming together off that, which will include a diverse group of students talking about the difference between rural and urban communities and how that information is shared. How is it with the LGBTQ community and what struggles do they face? We have an American Indian component of it that we're going to have online. It's the best minds in the state, if not the country, have helped put this whole program together. And Gail and John Urso, as I mentioned, our founders, are heavily involved and so proud of everything that's going on. And I wish I could name every partner that we have that's helped us put together or will be speaking, but those are a couple of the people who will be the highlights, and certainly CNS Healthcare is a partner of ours in this, and we're grateful.
Wow, I think that was a Bright Spot first, having an exclusive reveal. So thank you for providing that for us. It's very exciting.
You're welcome.
And again, that for those of you who wanted to make note of the dates, if you missed them the first time, Starry Starry Night, September 22nd, correct? Detroit Yacht Club. Okay, out on Belle Isle. And then the Kevin Song Conference at the Inn of St. John's, January 26th, 27th, 28th?
Correct.
Okay, good. All right. Is there anything else that you want to share for people in the community that really want to get involved and support the work that Kevin Song is doing?
Two things. I think one, certainly what we're in the process of putting together is a volunteer network. And we have so many internal opportunities to help us, but also we attend conferences, we attend walks for suicide prevention and different mental health projects all over the state. And we'd love to have, volunteers manning our tables and passing out the information that we have and those materials. So look for something, I'd say, in the next 3 to 4 weeks on our website and our social media about how you can become involved as a volunteer. That's very important to me, but now I get a little teary, I guess. If you really want to help, reach out to a friend, a family member, a colleague that might seem down to you. or maybe you think is having a tough time or you haven't heard from in a while. It's all about communication, and it's all about not having a barrier between you and someone else when you need someone to talk to. And I encourage everyone out there, whether it's a simple hello, we need to do a better job of communicating with each other, not always looking down at the phone, not always typing texts back and forth. A real live voice can mean the whole difference in someone's day. So, you know, we're doing this by Zoom, Kara, but it's still, I get to see your face. And that, you mentioned earlier that my eyes light up when I talk about Kevin's song. My eyes light up now because I get to talk to people directly. And so thank you for this opportunity, because without it, I think all of our lives got a little dreary over COVID, having to do everything behind closed doors. So let's open up those doors and talk to each other and make a difference.
That's a great homework assignment for all of our viewers out here. And I've noticed that as well, that no one has ever gotten upset when you reach out to them and just say, hey, are you really doing okay? You know, don't just say fine, just how are you? You know, I've noticed you seem a little down, you seem a little different. Is there anything I can do to help? And oftentimes there won't be, but as you said so well, Brian, just having somebody care enough to notice and reach out and stop everything else in the world for a moment and say, okay, I'm going to put a pause on my to-do list and put you up at the top there. It's sometimes that's all that people really need. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Brian, we really appreciate your time. Thanks for everything you're doing, Kevin's song is doing to start these community conversations, and anything we can ever do to help here at CNS Healthcare. Certainly, we support you in your mission to end suicide and get to zero suicides. So thank you again.
Well, we're in this together, and Kara, thank you, and CNS Healthcare. We are thrilled to be partners with you, and you've already been a great resource for me personally to reach out to and navigate me through this process. So thank you for what you're doing as an organization, but thank you for being a good friend professionally as well.
Absolutely. So glad to have you here as a partner. For our audience, thank you for joining us for Bright Spot, CNS Healthcare's virtual show. We hope you'll continue to mark your calendars and join us the second Monday of every month to discuss feelings, struggles, and finding one's way. If there is a topic that you want to hear discussed, please feel free to drop it in the chat or comment on this video. A few upcoming events for CNS that we want to make you aware of. September 20th and 22nd, we are hosting 2 vaccination events for both flu and COVID. Very important going into the fall to make sure that you are vaccinated and taking care of your physical health as well as your mental health. So we're calling that Vax Bash. One will be in Detroit, one in Waterford. So please check our events on our Facebook page or on our website. Our social media handle is @CNS Michigan. We are also on TikTok now, so if you are a TikToker, please follow CNS Michigan there. Last reminder to everybody to be a bright spot. You never know when a smile, a compliment, or a kind word can change a person's day. Have a great week.